So when it comes to backtesting, okay, the backtesting is so that you can see one, your win rate, and make sure, because you want to do a sample of 20 trades, okay? So you want to be looking at your win rate, but you also want to be making sure that your trades and you're entering of the right things as well. So you're testing out the strategy. For a long time, when I was trading retail stuff, I never really used to backtest, and I didn't really understand it because I thought, what's the point of backtesting? You don't make money when you could just trade in the live markets. But the one thing I didn't understand is when you backtest, you have data. So that's one of the first things that you have. So when you backtest, right, you have data to look at. And what I mean by that is you have your win ratio, you have your risk to reward as well, and you have that confidence that your strategy actually works and is profitable. Now, when it comes to smart money, okay, I've spoken about this in the past, win ratio is not actually that important. However, even if you have a 50% win ratio, it's okay. Some people have less than this. Some people have 30. Me, I've tested mine out and mine was 66%. So, but the main thing, if it's above 50, that's good, okay? If it's really low, then it's not good, obviously. So these are the main reasons for why we backtest in the first place. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove all of this. And we'll start with a fresh chart as well. So we have Euro USD. Go on the monthly, we have all of this. Just all of this answered. We're going to do it again anyway. So those are in there. Okay, so first thing is, unless you have premium, you cannot go back all the way to 2014 and start looking at the 5-minute and 1-minute candles. Okay, because if I do that, right, if I click on this and I click here, and then I click on like 5-minute, you can see here it says we don't have enough historical data for this because it has to basically load all the candles. And you're talking about all the way to 2016, how many candles it has to load out, all 5 minutes each. However, a workaround is you can go on the 5-minute, you can do something like this. So you scroll to where the numbers are, go like this, you scroll until you can't really see as much, basically what's going on, what's the trend, and then you go back as far as you can. Okay. And then you basically click replay, and we go back as far as we can go. See how far we can go back. So at the moment it's saying shoot like Wednesday, 18th of January. Hold on. Yeah. Let's just start there, yeah. So Wednesday 18th of January. That's today. Hold on. Let's go on the 15th. I think it's just my mouse that's a bit lagging as well. 1 second. So yeah, let's drag it over. Okay, so we're dragging it as far back as we can go. It is quite, long to do, but if you really want to be able to go down to these time frames, then you're going to have to do it in such a manner. Usually you can just scroll back with your, okay, I think I'm doing it. Yeah, okay. So let's go back to, okay, so we're on the 2nd of January now, yeah? Then you just double click here and it will reset the chart. Okay, so you can see we're around December time. So now I can go all the way up to monthly, whatever I want. Okay, the lowest I can go is the 5-minute. Yeah, maybe 4-minute because it's showing me a bit of data until here. This is where it cuts off. Oh, actually have more. Okay, that's fine. That's even better. So the first thing we want to do is we start on the monthly, right? So we start on the monthly, and you want to look at the overall way of the trend. Yeah. I'll just read from the chat. You guys are funny. So we have this downtrend, right? So this is something that I can put up like this, and I can see, okay, cool. So it's touched by these 3 points. If I want, maybe I could put it like this. This looks a bit more accurate. Right now, I'm just putting analysis on. I'm like, okay, we have the downtrend. It looks like it violated here a little bit, but it's touched these 3 points. So the downtrend would probably be something like this. This is probably what people are thinking. So you can see that we have kind of touching there, 1 point, 2 point, and then 3 point here. It broke out, pretended to retest it, and then broke down. So that's fine. So this is all liquidity. So I'm going to mark that out as trendline liquidity. Okay, that's the first thing. So now what I want to do is I want to look for recent areas of price action. There's no point in me doing something like this. Oh yeah, this is a supply zone. Yeah, I'm just going to wait until price comes here. Look, this is the monthly time frame. Okay, so there's no point of doing that. However, I can put it here for future reference. Now I like to use 2 colors for my POIs, one that is more recent and one that will be basically in the future. So I can make this one gray because I know this is something that I can pay attention to later on when price goes above this. However, the most recent POI I want to pay attention to is this one right here. So here we can change this to actual POI. Okay. So we have this recent price action here. Now, until we reach here, I would be bullish from a monthly standpoint. However, in the case of, we're not swing traders, we trade on intraday basis. Okay, we've put up our first points, and this is giving us a clear picture of what's going on. We're in a downtrend. Okay, now I have the 2-week time frame as well. So let me see what's going on here. Okay, so downtrend, that's fine. Not much that I can see here that I want to refine to. So let's drop to the weekly. So now we're on the weekly. Okay, you want to establish your range as well. So if this is my highest point and this is my lowest point, so what I want to do is I want to find a demand zone here. Now what I can see one now already, and even though it's been mitigated already, I'm going to lay this one out. And there's a reason for this as well. So now I know I'm trading within this range. Okay, I'm not going to be confused as to what's going on. You could also as well label these as well. So I could label this as monthly time frame, but I know I'm going to be refining it, so there's no point of me doing that. So now let's jump down to the 3-day. So now we're on the 3-day. Now I can refine this one up into here. At the same time, I can mark that it looks like there's a bit of a trend line here. So I want to be wary of this as well. So that looks like a bit of a trend line. So what I'd be looking for is price could potentially come here. So it could do something like this and then go like this potentially on a higher time frame basis. So I don't really see anything here. I do see an imbalance here, but I think in this area here, there's probably a supply zone that I could probably refine it to. I could do something like this right now. However, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to wait until I drop down to the daily. Okay. You could also do stuff like 2-day as well if you want. But for now, I'm going to drop down to the daily time frame. Okay, cool. So now that we have that, we have this distribution that happened in this area. So what I want to do now is I want to look for if there was any last point that has not been mitigated yet. So we have this imbalance here, and we have all of this. Now, if I zoom in this area, I can see that, okay, cool. We have this, we have the, here's the U tag, then we have the change of character, and then it came up, tested the order block, and then started to move down. Okay, and it left behind this imbalance. So what I can do is I can mark out this imbalance from here to here. Although it does continue until this area here, right below, you could say, I'm just going to mark it from here to here because it doesn't have to be full on perfect as long as you know, and you want to avoid the noise as well. So I know that all of this is an imbalance and it's the last point, right? So from this point, price started breaking down and never came back up. So I don't want to confuse myself with too much stuff on the chart. So now I'm gonna, yeah, so imbalance right there. Okay, cool. So I think this is where some of you guys get confused because you're thinking, okay, let me play out price from here. But this is the daily time frame. So what I want to do now is I have the daily time frame, right? And all of that has been marked. Now we can refine this one. Why? Because we had it on the 3-day before. However, now based on the 1 day, I see a nice clean bullish engulfing with an imbalance right here. Now I'll refine it to this. Okay, so now all I would be waiting for is price to come into this area and then buy up. But we're not done there. Now we add in our other conferences. So up until this point, okay, this is the spring. So I can put that in, right? This is the spring right here. And then you have the change of character that happened here furthermore, yeah? So now we can mark this part up. This was the change of character. And we can see that price tapped back into this demand zone here. So what I'm going to do is, even though it's a wick, and by the way, I already know that it's been mitigated. I'm just doing it for my own purposes of understanding what's going on with the price. All right. So if I go into a lower time frame, I'll be able to see the engulfing candle that it tapped into. There we go. So you can see here. I feel like the Asian indicator they added on highs and lows. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So we know that price taps into this order block. Actually, let's go a bit lower. If we go on the 8 hour, we can probably see it better. All right, so there was an order block right here. Okay, probably see a much more cleaner one if we drop down. Let's see, let's say 7 hour, 6 hour, 5 hour. By the way, the reason why I'm doing this, even though I don't have to, is so that your eyes can get used to it, because price already reacted off of this, right? So let's say price, this hadn't happened yet. You want to refine it so that your eyes can get used to it. So right down even more. So 2 hour now. We're looking for a clean order block where price reversal. All right. Okay. Still okay. So 45 minutes. Oh wow. Okay, I think it's the 45 minutes. So here you can see, right? This was the exact order block that price reversed from. This one right here. Now, sometimes you guys say, okay, cool. It tapped in the, what's it called, Asian zone. And obviously we don't hold trades over the Asian zone, right? So let's say, had you got into this trade, yeah, after this situation, let me drop down to the 15 now and see how we could have possibly got into that trade. So when this was happening, okay, at this time, I probably wouldn't have got into this. Reason being is because even though it tapped into the zone, it started creating this trend line liquidity, which I would have expected to get taken out. And even so, let's say we entered off of this because we only do 1% risk, so it's okay. Let's say you entered off of this. By the time Asia came in, we would have probably exited the trade because it came up and then basically came back to entry. Okay, so there would have been no point of this trade. However, the next day it trailed upwards, and what we would have been looking for is that pullback below the Asian zone before kind of, you know, flying off. Now it didn't do that. Okay, so in this case, it didn't do that. For one, this Asian low held, this Asian low held, And then these trades I would have been missing. I'm being honest with you guys. Yeah, I would have missed this. I would have missed this one. And maybe this day I would have been paying more attention because look, the low got taken, and I would have been more or less looking for this area, for it to come into this area, to be honest, which it didn't end up coming into. Yeah, so I would have been. Should I mute the chat? So I didn't realize. So I would have been waiting for this area because we wait for high case scenarios. Yeah. Now I know this low didn't take this one, but I could risk 1% on this. Okay. Now price is continuing to make bullish structure. So let's go back higher. Yeah, would have missed it anyway. So now price is here. So now what I want to do is understanding that this area still hasn't been mitigated. I'm going to drop the next area. So it would be this one. Yeah. So that one still hasn't been mitigated, but it's an area for me to pay attention to. So then price on this. So it keeps moving up. It's quite bullish. I'm waiting for this area as well. This I can throw away. This one is my main POI. This one, I'll probably change the color of it to gray, because it's an order block that could fail. This will change the color as well. All right, so we're on the 4 hour now. So since this change of character, right, I would only be looking for buys mostly. I wouldn't be looking for sells, even though we're in a downtrend. Why? Because when that change of character happens, especially on a higher time frame, all of these supply zones are now targeted. Because before this change of character, price should have kept going down. Furthermore, from here, once this imbalance was filled here, it should have kept going lower and then lower and taking this out. However, because it broke structure as well, which we can label right here, this indicates that price wants to keep going up. And so that's why sometimes price goes into a supply zone. You have so many supply zones that you've drawn up, like from here, and you're drawing them out and they're all failing because prices change character. You need to be able to be flexible and adapt to the market and trade what you see and not what you think. And what I mean by that is, if prices change character down here, why are you still looking for sells? Even though the higher time frame is trending downwards, it's showing you that it wants to come back up. So now that I know that, I'm looking for areas where there's liquidity. I know that this is an area of liquidity. Why? Because there's definitely people that got into trades here. Yeah, so they got into buys like this, and their stop loss is below the last low. That's what we're usually taught in retail trading anyway. Yeah, so there's buyers like that. On top of that, let me drop down to the day 1 hour now, where I can see the Asian zone. And what I'm looking for now, I have a feeling that this whole low is going to get taken out because there's equal lows here, right? So there's equal lows right here. Even if it went to past it, that's still something that retail would see as equal low, as support. Because you have to understand that this is how retail draw their lines on, right? They use this tool right here, horizontal line, and they draw their lines like this. For them, this is what they're seeing, right? So when price gets to here, they're going to sell. When it breaks above, they're going to buy. But then obviously we have these violations that tend to happen to retail most of the time. So now we have these equal lows here. I can see there's an Asian low here that hasn't been taken. This one has just now, and this one hasn't. Okay, so those lows haven't been taken. So there's this low as well, which is a possible liquidity that can be taken. However, there's this imbalance here, and there's a demand zone in here that I want to look at to make my point of interest. So knowing that now, what I'll do is, just because this is where price broke out, right? So this is where the break structure is. I'm just going to highlight anything. just because I want to come back to this area. Make it my POI. We can also label this for the sake of the video. I'm going to label this as well as a break of structure. So break of structure upwards, right? So all of this is break of structure. So until price comes into this area, I'm not really interested in what's going on. Now I can also add this on. I can see basically a trend line from here to here. The trend line is not fully perfect, but extend it a bit more. Something like this. All right, so there's a trend line there. So I'm also aware of that as well. Now let's look at this demand zone here. So that's a 30-minute update call. See something here, but it looks like it's been mitigated already. So 15 minutes. All right, cool. So now I can see there's a demand zone here. We have a bearish candle with a bullish engulfing. Okay. So with that in mind, I know that price can come and tap into that area. Now, just because this is what I'm seeing, it doesn't mean price is going to 100% do that. Okay. But let's play out price and see what happens next. So now we're going to start playing out. By the way, all of this is consolidation. Yeah. So all of what we're seeing here, this is just consolidation. It's wicking out, going lower. It's basically just trapping people inside the market. So let's play it out. Okay, so we're inside the Asian zone right now. Do it on the 15 minute. All right. So let's play it out. So this is the Asian zone. Okay, so the Asian zone is now being broken. Okay, so I mean it's closed now. Now, what I would do is have that area below. The only thing as well, another thing with backtesting is you can't see when there's news days as well, so that's another disadvantage. But I can see an area here before price broke up where I'm looking for a buy now. This is a Tuesday, right? So I'm looking for a buy to take this Asian high. So what I'll do is I can draw out this area here. I can see that there's a little bit of a, hold on, that's a bullish candle. There's an imbalance here, so I can draw this one out, although it's very close to the low. So what I'll do is there's two scenarios. Either it's going to reverse from here because of the imbalance, or it's a potential that it can reverse from this area, okay, because this is a down candle. Now, if I jump to the 10 minute, I might be able to see it much more clearly. No, okay, so that is fully mitigated. You can see here, look, see, it's taken the low already. Okay, that's fine. So what we'll be waiting for is price to come into this area here. So let me draw my imbalance as well. And I'm expecting price to reverse off of this area. Basically anywhere here and here. Reason being is because I can see that we're on a, oh, so I can see that, okay, this would be, oh, this is time now. All right, so this would be 7 a.m. So London session has just opened. This is my most recent area, okay? Putting together that there's liquidity from these lows here. So sometimes you guys ask, how do I know, you know, how is this liquidity stuff? It's just because it's an old low from maybe the last week or maybe yesterday or basically the previous days, okay? So these areas are liquidity. And you see how it got taken out? It also lines up with the Asia low. This area got taken out as well. So price is reversing here. So now that we're coming with so much momentum, taking all this liquidity, I know that there should be a reversal around here, if I'm correct. So what I'll do is I'll play out the candles. Okay, so it's tapped in, right? So now I want to jump onto the 5 minute and I want to wait for a change of character in this area. So let's see. Okay, so it's broken through both. Okay, see, that's why we wait for the change of character. And I did mention as well that this Asian low is also potential. It can get taken out, right? This is why change of character is important, because it confirms your whole trade. Imagine I just entered off of this order block. That would be more of an aggressive entry. But because I was looking back and thinking, okay, there's this Asian low as well that hasn't been taken, I could potentially go past it. Is there another Asian low? There's this one as well. I'm not sure if we're going to make it all the way past here, but that's two Asian lows that have been taken. And if we measure the pips from 600 all the way to, that's basically 600 pips in one direction. Okay, this might be news, it might be something else, but 600 pips in one direction. I know that Euro USD tends to start reversing after 30 to 40. Okay, but it's made 600, or well, it's made 60, sorry, 60 pips already. Apologies for that. So I should expect a reversal now, somewhere underneath these lows, especially around here. So what I can do is I can look for another supply zone in this area that it could potentially, I mean, demand zone that it could potentially reverse off of that hasn't been mitigated. I can see this, but this looks like it's been mitigated already, especially by this area here. And this is on the 5 minute. So if anything, it might be coming for this imbalance here. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll mark out this imbalance. You want to be very critical in your thinking, because once you start playing price out, you don't want to cheat. It's gonna, affect your back testing. If you start cheating, you're like, okay, yeah, I thought price was gonna reverse there. I need this to happen, etc., etc. And that's not gonna give you the accurate data that you want. So being honest with yourself really also is important when back testing. So we're gonna remove this as well, and we're gonna keep playing this out. Let's see what happens next. See, it's still coming down. Boom. Okay, it's coming to the imbalance now. Now we're gonna wait for that change of character. There's still a potential that it can come into this demand zone. This is basically the low. So what I might do is I might mark this low out, because if it goes below this, this invalidates my trade. So what I'll do is I'll mark that out. I can even label that if I want. So low, and I can have this to the right. That way now I can see it over here. All right, cool. So price is over here right now, yeah? We're still on the 5 minute chart. So now let's play out some more price action. Okay, so it's broken below that, but look, it's left a wick. So sometimes you might see your areas getting violated, but if it leaves a wick, the next part to pay attention to is if it closes like this. If it closes like this, and then we start to see some price action in terms of consolidation or accumulation or changing character here, then I'll get in for the buy. Otherwise, if it closes with another candle below, then it's probably coming to this area. So let's see what happens. Okay, so again, okay, I would still be waiting at this point. Okay, see, so luckily we didn't get into that. This is why waiting is a very important part of trading as well. So now that I know how many pips has it dropped now, almost 100 pips now, Euro USD in one direction. So it must be exhausted. But we just have to wait for the price to tell us when it's going to reverse. You have to wait for it to show its hands, as we say. So now we remove this and we just keep waiting. Click forward. Okay, so it looks like a change of character is happening here as we speak. How do I know? Because this pattern here is basically this. Price is going like this, and then this low here is price doing this, and then this candle here is price coming like this. So the last basically up candle, and then it's now this candle here is potentially on a lower time frame, a 1 minute, potentially mitigating a bearish candle, basically, so a bullish order block. So it could potentially do this and then do something like this. So we can mark out our change of character from this point. Why? Because that's where price stopped. So let me do that properly. Mark it from here, like this. That is your change of character. Okay. So now I want to see if price is going to reverse, basically reverse off of this, or potentially keep going down into this demand zone. So let's just move this here so you guys can understand what's going on. If I drop down to like a lower time frame, you'll see this more clearly. So let's go to the next candle. Okay, so it's going lower. So this indicates that it might actually break through. Let's see. Yep, so it did. Okay, so that's fine. He still didn't enter no trades. And we're waiting a bit more. So now it's violated this low, and it's actually closed as a body below. That's fine. Let's see, let's wait. Now we're getting maybe this potential change of character again. However, it's not really clean because look, it looks like it's trending upwards. So I would still wait. Still waiting, see? While waiting is important. Okay, now we have another area that could potentially be a change of character. Okay, so let's mark out this. As you can see, look, price is slowing down in this area. Okay, it has broken below, but it's slowing down in this area. So this is also telling me that, okay, there's a reaction here. Let me see furthermore. I can go up to a higher time frame. Okay, go to 30 minutes and see if there's something that I might be missing. Maybe there's a lower area below all of this. Other than that, it's just this area down here, right? With this point of interest that I have here. So furthermore, I could label that out. Do this, go like this, UI. And by the way, guys, I know this may seem like, I don't know if some of you guys are like, okay, this is quite like normal in terms of like boring, etc. But this is how trading is. The boring part is the part that's going to make you money. I remember hearing a successful trader a long time ago saying to me, when trading gets boring, that's when you're actually going to start making money. When you remove the excitement and the emotions and the sadness from losing, etc., and the excitement from winning, that's when you actually start to trade with a sound mind and you have a poised mentality. Okay. So at this moment in time, price has dropped almost 130 pips. So from 600 all the way to 130, and it's only 10:30 a.m. So literally this happened in 3 hours. Okay, New York session still hasn't started. So let's see. Let's just keep waiting. Obviously, I don't trade a London session, but for the purpose of the backtest, I usually just go through it and I just trade the actual pattern, schematics, etc. So supply and demand, everything that we basically teach. So let's just keep going for now. What's going to happen? Okay, so we've got that low. Now here you can see that Wyckoff is actually starting to happen. So what you can do is, since here, selling climax. Okay, so we'll just do that. Because the selling climax usually happens after, it's called the climax for a reason, selling climax. So all the selling has basically been exhausted and now you can see it starting to reverse, right? And then you're starting to see price like breakdown. This could be the ST because it's inside the selling climax. All I'm waiting for right now though is the spring. So seeing that price has slowed down, we're waiting for that spring to happen. And the spring will be confirmed by the chop. So we have another low, so let's move it to here. We have another low, so let's move the change of character to here. Oh, okay, so it looks like we've broken above that now. So this could be our potential area for entry. For what? A buy. Okay. So now what I can do with this zone is I can remove all of this, or I can actually stop it here where it got violated. I tend to do this. I just stop it where it got violated. At the same time, there's been a change of character here, but this is where you may fall into the trap now, where it's just coming to just mitigate this area, because this is practically a supply zone on a smaller time frame, on the 5 minute. Okay. So understanding that there's also an imbalance here, it could just come into this area. So it could do something like this and then basically keep breaking down. So let's just wait and see what happens next. Okay, so now it's mitigated off of this. But I didn't enter yet. Okay, so now it's breaking above that area. Okay, cool. That's fine. So this would have been a good trade, but we didn't enter. Why? Because we were being cautious in making sure that this is not a supply zone that's getting respected. So now it's been violated. So now what you can do is you look for the order block that is left behind in this area. Now, I can't really drop down to the time frame, but for argument's sake, I'm just going to use this wick to this wick, because this movement here is going down. So when this candle's high was there, it started pushing down. The next candle, when it opened, it pushed down as well and then went up. So inside these two candles, I know there's a down movement. Okay, that's why I'm using that area. So what I want to do now is, now we're getting into the entries. Okay, cool. This, and we're going to put a stop loss below this low here. Going to give it a bit of room. Okay, so we're going to do something like that. Move it up. We're going to remove this because it's failed now. And then just remove these. And where do I want to target now? Okay, cool. So one, I can have a very hopeful target of the Asia low, Asia high, all the way up here. That'll give me a 1 to 80. So that's my overall target. However, I can now also have I can have another target, maybe halfway, maybe here, okay, just to fill this area here. Or I can do it by risk to reward. So what I can do is, okay, where's 1 to 10? 1 to 10 is here. Okay, so I can do 1 to 10. And at these points, I would set an alert. So I'd do this. And then at that time, I'd be like, okay, cool. When price gets here, I'll be considering, do I want to close? Or do I want to see it ride, go all the way much higher? Okay, for a 1 to 20. But let's see if we even get tapped in first. So I'm going to leave this here because this is a 1 to 10. And let's drop down to the 5 minute again and see what happens. So now we have this price action happening. Okay, so we've been tapped in. Okay, so the price is going in the direction that we like. Well, let's see. Now it's 2 p.m. So around this area, basically, the New York session started around here, 12. Let's see what happens. This is the part where you have to hold through all the BS. So we'll still be holding even through all of this. At this point, what would this give me? So that would be a 1 to 8. 1 to 8 is not bad. Okay, but we have a 1 to 10 in mind and our high time frequent bias. I tend to take 1 to 5s as well, because I see that those hit quite frequently when I trade. But for the example of this back test, we're going to go for that 1 to 10. So it's becoming close to 8 p.m., 9 p.m. now. So I know that the Asian session is going to start soon. So I'm going to hold until 9 and see what that gives me. So 9 p.m. now. It's about 8:45. And this is me just being honest with myself as well. Okay, cool. So maybe around this area here, Yeah, so around this area here, I would have potentially closed the trade. What would I have got? I would have got a 1, 2, 3. Okay, but that's not bad because I can come back the next day. So you can see here, I believe the Asian session is about to start. Yeah, there it goes. So the Asian session has started now. Okay, and what we're looking for in this area is a re-entry. So I want to get back into this move to take it up higher. So I can see that there's an order block here as well. Okay, so again, using the same principle as last time, that downwards movement, although this one is a bit different, I'll be looking to enter in this area. So this is a 1 to 3.7, so we can mark that out. So 1, 2, 3, let's just say 1 to 3.5. So actually, this is how I used to do 3.5 R, so reward. That was based off of this trade. Great. So we've got a 3.5 R on this. Now we're looking for another buy in here after this Asian session is done. Okay. So it's been higher. Okay. Now, this looks like it definitely wants to tap into this area. So all I would be looking for is a tap in this area. If it doesn't come below this low, I'm not basically entering any trade today. Let's see what happens. Now that it's done this, right? Would you be annoyed? Yeah. You'll probably be thinking, oh, I should have held through Asia. What was the point of that? But these kind of lessons will help you later on because this doesn't always happen. Okay? This doesn't always happen in terms of, oh, I should have held through Asia. On top of that, you incur fees and stuff when you hold overnight. So it's not worth it because then you have to make sure you're in more profit for that to happen. However, was there another entry that I could have got before this happened? Potentially, but let's see. Now it's making ways towards this area. So this I can just remove because that is basically being fulfilled. And what I want to look at now is, so there's 2 Asian highs here. Okay, so I know this high is going to definitely get taken. Let's continue. There is a potential that this demand can get respected or this demand, but let's see. Okay, so now we've had a break of structure here, which shows that price wants to continue in an upwards direction. My point of interest would be here. This is where I would love to enter. It has been touched a little bit. However, there's an imbalance here, so I suspect that price will come into this area here before moving upwards again. And we have this steep trend line. This is not sustainable. We have this steep trend line, which is just holding everybody's liquidity or everybody's trades in profit. Another thing you guys need to understand as well is from this high here, this is a liquidity point, right? So because there were sellers that got in here. Somehow, some way, somebody sold here, okay? When price got to this area, there were retail traders or new people that decided to sell again. It broke through. Now, at the same time, there were people on the other side of this that were like, you know what? When price gets to this area, I'm actually bullish. So I'm going to put a buy stop. We don't use buy stops, but people put a buy stop here. They'll have their low below here maybe, and they want to enter the buy. So they got pushed into the trade as well. And now they're in profit. And they're like, maybe I'll exit here, okay? Or they'll go for their 1 to 3. Let's just do 1 to 2 for argument's sake. So there are sellers that got stopped out here with their stop loss like this. Okay, furthermore, let's do a real 1 to 3. Okay, so they wanted a 1 to 3, and their stop loss was like this. that would have been 1% for them, yeah? And there was buyers as well that wanted to get in. So I expect price should calm down and take out all these people that were in the buy from here and potential buyers that basically bought from this breakout here. Okay, so that's another thing that you guys need to understand as well, is at any point in the market, there's always somebody in. There was a seller that sold this breakout. There was another seller that got in late. There was another seller that got in late here. There was another seller that got in here. That's why price moves like this, because the algorithm is looking for people to take out. There's a reason why price reversed only up until here and then reversed back down. Why? It was trying to take out sellers from here. It was trying to take out potential people that were here. So understanding that, let me just remove all of this. I'm expecting price to break down lower. This has been mitigated. It could still break higher because maybe the liquidity it wants is actually up here. But I'm expecting price to actually break down lower, at least come down to this area so we can get some buys in. So let's see if it gives us a chance to get in. Okay, so it's coming down. Okay. It's coming down. Okay, perfect. See? You guys understand what I was talking about before all of this happened. There was the buyers that were in from here already on the breakout. When this move happened, they got stopped out. At the same time, some new people, because people like to move their stop loss to break even as well. Okay, that's another thing you have to understand. So the people that moved their stop loss to break even from here, once it came all the way up here, if they hadn't closed their trade, they have now been stopped out. At the same time, a new buyer got in. He was like, yeah, this is resistance, or no, this is support. Let me get in from this area, because his resistance was here, right? And retail traders are taught when resistance breaks, it becomes support. So when this area here got reacted to and it broke through, the retail trader said, all right, you know what? I'm going to buy from here because it broke this resistance. So it went up for a bit. If he didn't close his trade, it's now been stopped out. So he lost there. We didn't enter because we understood that this is all liquidity and we're waiting for this trend line to get taken out. So this is all trend line liquidity now. So we're waiting for this area here. This is the area that I've marked up. But again, like we spoke about earlier, it could come all the way to here. It's just a waiting game. So let's see what happens. Okay, so it looks like it's reacting, but it still could be, you know, working its way down, because if you think about it, this is a change of character. Change of character, and then you have a break of structure here. Okay, so it could, yes.
I'm gonna have to leave. I've got some. All right.
Okay, no, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. What
I think Kay's in the call.
Yeah, I'll put K on as a. Thanks for your help as well, Abdullah. I appreciate it.
No worries. No problem. Take it.
I hope this is making sense to you guys so far. Yeah, so there we go. All right, cool. I've made K co-host now as well. Appreciate you. All right, cool. So now what could happen is price could potentially react off of this and drop. Now that could be another potential trade. So what I'll do is I'll drop down to the 5-minute time frame and let's see if we can get in. So I believe there's an area in here that we could sell from. If we go to the 10, we can refine it to this. If I click on the 8-minute, let's see, 6. Yeah, okay, so 6 is much cleaner. So cool. So I want price to come into here so I can sell back down. So I'm gonna take a sell from here, and hopefully we can get a sell into this area. Okay, and it's not going to be a big trade, it's just going to be a quick 1 to 5. So let's see what happens. Okay, so we've been tapped in, it's coming down. Okay, looks like it's reversing again. This has created equal lows. Okay, so this create equal lows now, and we have this trend line as well here that is potentially building up, so we can take more liquidity. So I'm still going to hold this trade, play it out. Okay, let's see what happens. Okay, so we've gone into another Asia session. So in that case, here, being honest with myself, I would have closed out here. Okay, this can get quite jarring as well, but this is based on how we trade. Okay, so that would have been a 1 to 2. That's fine. So that is a 2-bar trade. Okay, so far we're up 3.5 and 2, so that's 5.5. Okay. Now let's let this Asian session play out. Okay, so Asian session. Okay, so now, okay, cool. So now the Asian session has stopped. I would be looking at, and this is a Thursday, I'll be looking at price potentially coming above this Asian high, okay? And maybe it's gonna come up here. We also have trendline liquidity here. See, I didn't see this before. So we have trendline liquidity there, and we have basically liquidity from here. Because if anybody got into sells in this area, their stop loss is above here. So between here and this area, this could be an area where they just want to take people out. But I'm not really too sure what's going to happen. So I would love if we take the low first, because then I can buy back up, because I know there's more liquidity above. There's also liquidity below as well, but since my confidence is to buy up, I can still buy into this high. It's just consolidating in this area. So I'm looking for it to drop down below this low and then go back up. But let's see what happens. Okay, perfect. Okay, so it dropped below the Asian zone. So what I would be waiting for now is for price to potentially reverse off of this low here. Why? Because this is the last point. There is liquidity here as well, but let's see. This also created a change of character here. So this is a change of character. And this is where I'll be looking to enter from. So furthermore, what I can do is I can put a long position here. I understand I may get stopped out, but it's only going to be 1%. And my target furthermore is going to be up here. So that'll be a 1 to 9. So let's play out price action and see if we get tapped in. So it's filled in that imbalance. Okay, so so that would have been a loss. Okay, cool. So that was a loss. So we're going to mark that up. So we're going to do -1 here, like this, -1, and it's tapped into my other area. We do have this low here as well. What I'll be looking for is, let's see if we get a change of character here. Okay, we're on the 6 minute. Let's jump down to the 5. I can keep this like this. Furthermore, I can remove this because I don't need it anymore. It's going to distract me. And we're looking for a change of character in this area. And we're going to count the change of character. Let me let a few more candles play out. Okay, you know what? It's good that I've done that. So from this area here. So this is where our change of character will be. It may be here, but I want to see. It's building a little bit of liquidity here. It might drop lower. Okay, good. So do it from here. Pull this back. Furthermore, this is irrelevant now. I think it's going to come for that Asian low and tap into our area here. So let's wait. Perfect. Okay. So it shot into it and then it done this. Now this looks like what do you call it? This looks like a Newswick. Okay. But, and I can't really go lower, but I think there is something going on here that could potentially get us in the trade. Let's see. I don't want to just buy straight off of this because that would be very aggressive. But as this is pulling back, we'd go on the lower time frames to see what's happening. I suspect now that price is going to basically push back up because this might be the pullback and then push back up. Okay, so no. So luckily we didn't do that. Okay, let's keep waiting. Okay, so now we're having prices slowing down. Let's mark this change of character here. Okay. And mark the chop like this. Okay, cool. So now we're waiting for that area to get taken out. Okay, so it's consolidating, it's accumulating, sorry. Okay, so it's done it now, but there's so much mitigated order blocks here that I'm not too sure. On top of that, right, because of the news leaving this wick here, it's a bit messy now because the last point of liquidity is up here. So let's just see what happens. I would prefer if it breaks down some more below this, because I would suspect that a lot of retail traders have gotten into this trade and then changes character below here and then basically pushes up. So let's see what happens. Yep, it's coming down. It hasn't taken it yet. So until it takes this low, we're not interested. Okay, so we have an Asian session. Okay, might as well just let that play out. The Asian session might take that low, to be honest. It's just building liquidity, building liquidity. Okay, building, still building, still building. Okay, cool. So now it's taking that low. Cool. Now what I'm looking for is for price to take the Asian low again and then change character underneath, and then I'll take the buy back up. At the same time, now might be a good time to see if maybe there's been a higher time frame change of character or anything that's happened. Okay, cool. So look, check this out. So had I not paid attention, would have probably got stuck in this area. This is a break of structure now. Okay, so it's broken below this. So potentially I should look for sells more than buys. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll drop down again to the 30-minute, 15-minute. Let's mark up this area here, as this is where price lost its supply zone. There's also liquidity on this trend line here. And now, furthermore, I'm a bit bearish. Okay, so I'm thinking price is going to do something like this. But let's see what happens. If price is going to do this, I want to buy it back up and then sell it back down. So let's let price play out now. Okay, so that was probably the change of character from that area. So furthermore, yeah, I'll just mark it out for you guys quickly. This is the change of character. We're on the 15-minute, but because I moved the candles too quickly, I want to be honest with myself and say, okay, I would have entered off of. I don't want to actually, well, maybe I can. Let's drop down to the 5. Okay, cool. 5-minute. Yeah. So I would enter off of this. Place my stop loss below here. I'm really targeting the Asian high, but that's not going to give me a good risk to reward. So let's see if we can get all the way up here. Okay. And let's play this out. Okay, so that lost. So now we have another -1. So that's fine. So now we're just waiting. I still know that I think I just got in a bit early. So now let's drop down to the 5-minute and just see if we're going to get another change of character. This could be the potential spring here. So we can mark that out. Spring. And if I could drop down to the lower time frames again, we would be looking at a order block in this area. Okay. But we can't, so that's fine. mark this out. This is going to be our change of character. I'm going to remove this so we don't get confused. Any other lines? I'm going to remove this one as well. And I'm going to keep this one here. Okay, so let's see what happens. Okay, looks like it's just consolidating. Still going lower. Okay, it's gone lower. So I'll change the character now. Oh, let me not move that a second. Is now here to here. Okay. Furthermore, now it might actually be here. I know all of these are bearish candles, but I'm seeing price slow down here and kind of like reject off of these areas. That's why I'm calling it that. Okay, so that's our change. Furthermore, actually, it's this one here. So let's see what happens. Okay. So this was our change of character. It reacted off of this order block. The next order block it might react off of is this one. So what we can do is we can put another buy in from here. I'll put it here. We're not in yet. So let's move it to the side. To take all the way up to this Asian high here. That will give a nice 1 to 7. So let's see if we get tapped in. Oh, so this was a news day. Okay, cool. So these kind of trades, I kind of write off sometimes. So I wouldn't really consider this trade because on the day I would have realized there was news and I would have been like, I'm not trading the news. Yeah. So a day like this, I'll just be like, you know what, I'm going to charge it. I wouldn't get in the buy on this because seeing stuff like this in a 5-minute candle, guys, look, from here, 4830 to, that's about 50 pips. So 50 pip candle in 5 minutes, I wouldn't have been able to get into that trade. But look, I suspect that price is gonna take this high out now, but it's fine. Yep, as you can see, it did pull back in to this area, but who's trying to have an entry with their stop loss like this? Not me. That's a 1 to 2. So I wouldn't really go for that. Although we have been closing some 1 to 2s earlier, that was due to the market not going towards our target within the day. Okay, so that's fine. So you can see this Asian has been taken out now. And if we now jump into the 15-minute, we can now label this as the spring and the change of character that we label down here and the breaker structure that we're going to label right here. Okay, so breaker structure like that. So now what we're looking for is a buy in this area from this wick down. If price decides to come back down, let's click on the 5-minute. I'll leave it on the 15. If price decides to come back down, I'll be looking for a buy from here. If it doesn't, then we'll try to sell from here. Oh, so I moved that quite quickly, so I didn't really get a chance to think. But you can see my ideas, right? That marking out these areas really, and I've been trying to speak as much as possible the way I'm thinking and everything, so you guys can start to understand that's how you should be like looking at the market in live when you're trading live. Okay, and this is how you should be backtesting as well, because this will give you more accurate results. So although I was right about this, I didn't get into this trade, unfortunately, but we would have been able to potentially get into this sell if it's less than 10 pips. Let's see. So from, no, I have to remove this. I just click on this. So 986 to 9, yes, that would have been less than 10 pips. So this sell, potentially, had I been waiting for it, I could have got into this to take it back down all the way. However, there is a trend line above. So furthermore, it might come and take out the high of this day as well, because this is all news based anyway. So I'm not expecting any of this to hold. Yeah, see? So it's gone and it's taken out the high of this Asia. So at this point now, we can call this another L. Where is it? So this is another L right now, -1. And you want to keep doing this, okay, for as long as you can until you fully get bored and you're like, okay, this is kind of boring. You want to do this for at least 20 trades, because what you're going to do at the end of that, okay, I haven't got to that point yet, but I'm going to take a bit of a break now so I can eat, and you guys can ask some questions as well in the chat, and then I might return afterwards and then maybe ask. I'll jump into trading talk. Actually, no, we'll jump into trading talk after in about maybe 15, 20 minutes, and then I'll answer more questions. I will put this recording in the group sessions as well, but I hope this has benefited you guys. I'm guessing if I had continued, we would have gotten a very nice trade that would have given like maybe, I don't know, 1 to 10 or whatever. Okay, but this is usually how it starts out. Like you get your 3.5 R, 2 R, minus 1, minus 1, minus 1, that's fine. Would have still been up 2.5, and then all of a sudden like a nice 1 to 7 comes in, or 1 to 10, and then at the end of your back testing session you zoom out, yeah, you look at, find a good time frame, you look at all your basically wins and losses, and you put them into document like this. So you'd be like, okay, 3.5, let's say I had a 2 here, minus 1, minus 1, minus 1, etc. You add all of this up, and then you'll see your win ratio. So you'll see, okay, even though I took some minus ones, etc., I got like a +7 here. Well, let's just be moderate. A +5 here. I got this, etc., blah blah blah, that kind of stuff. And then you add it together, you'll see your percentage in terms of your risk to reward. So the last time I did this, I think I took about 35 trades or something like that. Out of the 30, yeah, I can't do it right now, but I basically rounded it up in terms of percentage to 100. So then I basically done the calculations as if I'd done 100 trades. And then out of 100, I'd done the ratio, and I saw that I was 66% winning and 44% of the time I was losing. Okay. And then that's how I was able to get my win ratio. But then when I added up all the risk to reward, I saw that I was 95% up. So I was like, wow, okay, cool. And this was like over a whole month as well. So I looked at the start as well. That was another thing that I did. I added that, okay, I started trading on the 12th of Jan and I finished on the, let's say, 12th of Feb. Yeah. This is the data that you want to add. And you obviously want to screenshot all of this and then, keep it somewhere safe. Because on the days when the market is being weird or you're losing for whatever reason, you'll come back and you'll look at your back testing section that you've done very thoroughly, like the way I've been doing it. Okay, being honest with yourself, not saying, oh yeah, I would have gone into that. Oh yeah, I would have found an entry. I would have done this, I would have done that. You're going through it slowly, marking everything out. You can see I started on the high time frame, but have I looked at it since then? No, I've been just trading the intraday stuff. And I know maybe it's because of the experience that I have, but I've tried to go through it in enough detail so you guys can understand, okay, cool. He said price was going to come here, take out all of this liquidity. It happened. When it did, what did he do? He waited for this, he waited for that, etc. Okay. And that's really what you're kind of looking for. Look, on a higher time frame now, you can see that this has broken structure as well. The truck was down here. On a higher time frame, this is the break of structure as well. But this is how to really backtest thoroughly and use it to your advantage so you can build your confidence and build enough data for you to understand that, yeah, you know what, I'm a profitable trader. Because when I took about 20 to 30 trades, at the end of all of this, when I added it all together, this was my win ratio. This was my risk to reward. Okay. So I'm going to be on Trading Talk in about 15, 20 minutes. Hope you guys have benefit from this. Appreciate UK being the co-host as well, and Abdullah as well. I know he's gone, but I appreciate him as well. I appreciate you guys jumping on.
No worries,
I hope you guys are able to benefit from this. But I'll see you in 15 minutes. No worries. Let me just stop the share.